So this movement involves step, turn, step, turn. And you can strip that right down. If Jeff's doing a kick to my stomach, he's just going to land it. Yeah. And let's do the other leg. So he kicks again. Kick again. Okay. So I could slow it down to spin. Watch this. Land it. And look. So just that step. But if I pull this away, I get even more clearance. If he's in the firing line and I just step a bit, I get that little bit more. Never mind this turn, which could be in case of he's kicking and it kicks, and you can see he might step through, punch, and you can see I have that arm ready. So this turnaround goes 1, 2, 3. In that order for that reason, coils. This arm comes later, it's after the kicks. And that arm, after I've turned, I can turn that. And it doesn't matter what height it is. The principle is that you've learned that spin. So you could leave that leg in situ, you stepped it, you could step with that leg there. Instead of going behind, it can go in front. This is also good, he kicks there. In a sense, here just skills. So I could just as easily do that, which happens in Naifunchi, or Naihanchi as it were. So you have the same principle occurring in almost every kata. And how you approach it from lesson to lesson isn't to teach this is one way, but each kata teaches you slightly different. So this movement is the same principle, and you have cross step. So, but if you break it down, you realize I could do that, I could do that. The main principle is this torque of the body. Let's have a look if he's grabbing me. And he's controlling whether he's pushing it towards me, so he could be grabbing it this way, trapping it, punching, whichever way it goes. You notice if he's pushed it that way, the way to avoid it is to step and turn. Let's have a look at that jam. If he's jamming from above, one thing that you don't do when you're doing it without resistance or without any kind of real intention is that this happens, which is fine. It locks his elbow and that's nice. But you notice what happens to his wrist? It curves and it weakens. It lets me pull out. And that happens whether he's going this way or that way, pulls out. That's lovely. But when Jeff pushed, he was fully intending to dominate. And as a consequence, his arm was bent. Then when I turned, what happened was he pushing hard there, temporarily, just for a second, because you're getting that line through. The more he's flexed this, the less he's holding on with reality, the more he's simply going to come off. And that's fine. I don't mind that. But that's where this little bump comes in too. If I want to release him, I can. And you see this on the same side. You hold that one. Not only do I get this rip out, but I get this rip bump. This is Sensei Ravi taught us years ago. You get that extra if you need to. So notice when he pulls, if he's pulling in for hitting, this time I'm deliberately going to go. It's important to push my hips. If I push sideways like this, oh, it's terrible. But if I go that way, my hips go this way, I'm on the line of the punch. And it's no use thinking he'll just grab you and stand there. He's grabbing you to control you. And he could be grabbing you here to do the same thing. And doing the same thing. I'm stepping that way. And so the form does relax. Yeah. And notice how the hand comes there, because if he is holding it, I'll bring the body to my hand, thanks. It's nice and strong. And I'm moving away on the side of it. And if I do this instead, I'm simply, so if you step like this in the form, you're going to get clobbered. You have to go that way. So I want this hand close to the body, so I bring the body to my hand. He's too strong for me, and he's pulling anyway. The harder he pulls, the principle here is, if I'm getting pulled, I'll simply go, bring my body to my hand, and I'll fly right in. So if he pulls, harder he pulls, no. Okay. Again. In the groin. So you're going to be pulled that way, bring your hand to the body. Around, this is also good as an attack. Moving in, boom, yeah, hitting into the kidneys. So if I'm around him, hitting into the kidneys with the elbow. Now comes this part. I'll do that, so I can break that up too. There, if he punches, jam. If he punches, I can do that. So I got both of them. Punches, I could do this arm instead. I can hit with that arm. Because you can reverse the order of this. It doesn't need to be. So he could just as easily grab there. It's a little risky, but what if that's all I have? If this arm is just in time. You notice it's quicker to get to the spot if I pull out. On the other hand, if it isn't, yeah, I might be close, but still just got it. And then from there working. So this little turn with the body is quite important. Round, break, there, one, deflect, strike, down,
Cool. I get that over. Then it's 1, 2.
Beautiful. Yep, one more time. Lovely.